Israel says that they have essentially eliminated the Hamas Gaza City Brigade. There's controversy around two women who were shot outside of a church in Gaza, and the Houthis warned the United States about going to war with Yemen. What's going on, everyone? Let's take a look at some updates as it relates to the ongoing war between Israel and Hamas. I'm recording this at 11 a.m. Central on Wednesday, December 20th, 2023. For updated casualty information, check the links in the description below to the Gaza Health Ministry, Al Jazeera, as well as the official IDF sources. Starting with operations on the ground, Israel says that it carried out strikes against more than 300 targets in the Gaza Strip over the past day. Additionally, a commander said that the IDF has gained operational control in Jabalia. According to military assessments, Israel says that over 1,000 Hamas fighters have been killed by Israeli troops in the Jabalia area alone, with an additional 3,500 Palestinians that have been captured. They say that at least 70 out of the 1,500 terrorists who carried out the October 7th attacks lived in Jabalia, and so far 57 of their homes have been destroyed. Additionally, they say that some of those terrorists who surrendered to IDF forces were holed up in civilian locations, including hospitals, mosques, and schools. Additionally, Israel says that the intelligence that they've been able to uncover during operations in Jabalia and Gaza City have led to further operations in the area, assisting them in dismantling the military capabilities of Hamas's northern Gaza City Brigade. However, as we know, it is not just the northern portion of the Gaza Strip that Israel is clearing. They're also focusing on the south. And yesterday, IDF spokesperson Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari said, quote, "In southern Gaza, in the Khan Yunis area, we are expanding our operations and deepening it. We added a full brigade and additional combat engineering forces for operations in the area to improve those operations." Then shifting over to Hamas, they've claimed responsibility for more than 20 attacks against Israeli forces in the past 24 hours. We've seen a lot of footage of the tandem charge RPGs being fired at Israeli armored vehicles, a handful of close-range engagements with dismounted Israeli soldiers, and then Hamas claimed responsibility for blowing up a house that Israeli forces had occupied as part of either a strong point or a headquarters, as well as detonating booby traps at the entrances of two separate tunnels as Israeli forces moved in to try to clear those areas. Then Hamas released a statement putting out some additional data points that I thought were worth running through here. Again, these are coming directly from Hamas. This is not, through the Gaza Health Ministry or Al Jazeera, anything like that. Hamas says that since October 7th, 26,000 Palestinians have so far been killed, and that includes 8,000 children. They say that 310 medical personnel have been killed, along with 97 journalists. 7,000 people are missing underneath the rubble across Gaza, and that 1.8 million people are so far displaced, which makes sense. If you see where the operations are taking place, there are very few civilians remaining, very few people remaining in a lot of the areas where the fighting is the most intense. Hamas also says that since October 7th, 90 schools, 112 mosques, and 3 churches have been destroyed in Gaza, along with 52,000 homes that have been destroyed and are no longer inhabitable. And I'll play some footage here to show kind of an idea of what portions of Gaza look like right now. And no matter which side of this war you're on, no matter who you support, I think it's pretty hard to deny when you're looking at some of this footage that Gaza, most of the Gaza Strip, is going to be largely uninhabitable for quite a while. I mean, the reconstruction effort here is going to be substantial, and that's, not starting anytime soon. When this war first kicked off, as Israel was eyeing moving into Gaza on the ground, as the bombing campaign was starting, a lot of people were pointing to Mosul in Iraq and Raqqa in Syria and what those cities looked like after Islamic State was cleared out, and they were just ruins. And I think that's what we're starting to see in Gaza. That's what much of Gaza looks like now. And the problem then is when you look at those two as examples, they are nowhere near today what they were before that fighting kicked off, Raqqa and Mosul. That is, the reconstruction there is still ongoing and far, far from complete. Gives you an idea of what's in store for Gaza. Now, a few days ago, 2 women were shot and killed outside of a church in Gaza where they were taking refuge, and there's been some controversy about what happened and who is responsible. So a statement from the leader of the Holy Family Parish there in Gaza said, around noon today, a sniper of the IDF murdered 2 Christian women inside of the Holy Family Parish. Nahida and her daughter Samar were shot and killed as they walked to the Sisters' Covenant. One was killed as she tried to carry the other to safety. And Pope Francis actually spoke up on this as well, saying, quote, "I continue to receive very grave and painful news from Gaza. Unarmed civilians are the objects of bombings and shootings, and this happened even inside the Holy Family Parish complex, where there are no terrorists, but families, children, people who are sick or disabled, nuns." Adding, "Some would say it is war, it is terrorism. Yes, it is war, it is terrorism." End quote. And then Israel, in responding to these allegations, said, quote, "The IDF only targets terrorists and terror infrastructure and does not target civilians no matter their religion." Adding that they had been contacted by folks in the Holy Family Parish, but no reports of a hit on the church or civilians being injured or killed were presented to them by the folks they spoke with at the Holy Family Parish. Now, a few days ago, U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin announced the commencement of Operation Prosperity Guardian, a multilateral operation designed to protect the free flow of international commerce through the Red Sea, and it did not take long for the Houthis to respond. So we've got a couple videos the Houthis put out kind of showcasing their military capabilities, and then we got a speech put out just a few hours ago by Abdul Malik al-Houthi, the leader of the Houthi movement. He said, quote, "The one who threatens the maritime navigation of all states and countries is the American, and for the sake of the Israeli enemy and in the service of Israel." He said, "The recent American move will not deter us at all from our firm, principled, and moral opposition that we declared from the beginning alongside the Palestinian people." Now, if you remember, what the Houthis have been saying is that they will continue to target any ships that are either Israeli-owned and operated or headed to Israeli ports until the siege of Gaza is lifted and humanitarian aid flows into the Palestinian people. Continuing, al-Houthi says, "Any American targeting of our country will be targeted by us, and we will make American battleships, interests, and navigation a target for our missiles, drones, and military operations." So if the U.S. strikes us, we're going to strike any American interests in the region. He says, "As long as the American wants to enter into a direct war with us, he should know that we are not those he fears, and that he is facing an entire people and not a specific group." I think that's them trying to say that it's fighting the broader Muslim community, maybe multiple nations. I don't think that he's talking about all of Yemen as opposed to just the Houthi movement. But he continues here by saying, "If the American sends his soldiers to Yemen, let him know that, God willing, he will face something harsher than what he faced in Afghanistan and what he suffered in Vietnam." So the Houthis kind of talking a big game there. And to give you an idea of what they're up against in the immediate vicinity, Intel Schizo on Twitter puts together a good graphic. I think daily he updates this, showing the naval vessels in the Gulf of Aden, Red Sea, Persian Gulf, Arabian Sea, kind of all in and around Yemen. And it's sizable. There's a lot there. A lot of American ships, but a lot from our international partners as well. And the reason they're there is there's some counter-piracy missions that they are taking part in, but also trying to prevent these Houthi attacks against commercial vessels to allow the free flow of commerce through that area. So it doesn't look like the Houthis are backing down anytime soon, but this is a lot in that small area. But that's all I got for now. Of course, if interested in national security subjects, be sure to check out the sit reps I put out on Substack. Link is in the description below. Substack annual plans are now 20% off from now until January 21st. But thanks for watching. I'll see y'all next time.